Hello EFD squad and welcome back to a very festive edition of Continental Club. Santa and Rudolph are out delivering presents, so instead I'm joined by two little helpers in the form of Michael McCubbin and James Wayne. Lads, how are we feeling? Still not so fresh after the office party the other day in which James Wayne won biggest pisser 2K17, thoroughly deserved as well. Yeah. So let's start just by congratulating you.
Thank you. It was a sentimental moment in my life and I'm proud of it. And yeah, still feeling a bit rough, a bit tired, but yeah. I mean, we're here.
I don't think we have to tell them that. I think they know that we feel a bit rough. It's all over our faces today. But last day at the office, let's just get through it, boys. Starting with Adicho Walde's question on Twitter, and he or she has asked, which transfer are you most looking forward to in January? Now, obvious where your allegiance lies, wearing your City top.
Convenient today.
One of the few top Premier League teams who may conduct a bit of business. Are you looking forward to the window?
I am. There's a few kind of rogue shouts I want to go for, like David Luiz. I think he's been underappreciated this season. I know he's a great player.
Yeah.
And I'm veering away from City here, but Christensen's come and done a great job. He's fallen out of favour with Conte. I think he's a player. I really enjoy David Luiz.
Yeah, he started the season well, didn't he? And seemed to fall out of favour after that Roma game, in which they lost 3-0 away from home.
It wasn't great considering what Conte likes to do with his teams. He likes everything to be compact and solid. But I know it sounds weird. I miss him. He's a great he's a great player to watch. Not only can he defend well, he can ping balls left, right, and centre. So I feel the rumours have been linking him to the big Spanish clubs, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Personally, I think Barcelona needed more. Real Madrid, it'd be very difficult to get into that side with Ramos and
especially when Nacho deputises so well at centre back when he comes in, and with Umtiti out, that could really derail Barca's season because he's been essential for them this year. So they could potentially use David Luiz, although he's probably not the most reliable defensive figure when he's not playing in a back three, which Barcelona don't necessarily deploy, do they? And Thomas Vermaelen has looked okay at points this season.
Am I right in thinking that they haven't lost a game with him playing so far this season?
Yeah, they haven't lost a game all season, Barcelona. Barcelona and Atleti are unbeaten in the league still.
Well, there you go.
But I mean, they've not quite matched City's run of 15, 16 consecutive victories, but still unbeaten. What about you as a United fan then?
Well, yeah, there have been rumours circulating this week of Alexandro maybe going to United. I think Chelsea are still interested in him as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think United probably need him more. And yeah, I mean, that would be a fantastic move if it were to go through. I think we speak about this as well. Joe and Pat speak about this on the transfer preview that's coming up over the next week or so. Yeah, I think obviously left back has been a problem position for United over the last couple of years. Luke Shaw, obviously, ongoing saga. He's actually been given like a couple of starts recently in the Champions League and in the league.
Did he get back-to-back Man of the Match awards?
Yeah, I think
he did against Moscow, didn't he?
He did at least get one of those games. And yeah, and I think from a fan's perspective, two good left-back performances. But then you always question whether he's actually doing what Mourinho's asking him to do on the field. There was points against Moscow where we were, I think we were 1-up and going to the closing stages of the game, and he's making fantastic runs into the box, but it's like I just know that Mourinho's on the sidelines being like, that's not what I want you to do at this moment in the game.
Famously, some of Mourinho's sort of tactical decisions are like, you don't go over the halfway line. For sure, you don't do X, Y, and Z. So quite prohibitive in that sense.
One fullback goes, one fullback drops, which might have been what he was saying, but I feel like maybe not. And obviously, he just doesn't seem to trust him in the long term. That's the feeling that I get.
More importantly, might be quite harsh on Ashley Young, who's experiously somewhat of a renaissance, but he's definitely more of a long-term option, isn't it?
Sure.
How much do you think he'd cost?
Well, got down here, £65 million is the valuation by Juve. And obviously in the summer, I think that was one of the reasons why I didn't go to Chelsea, wasn't it? Because Chelsea didn't quite want to pay quite that much for a left back. But one thing that could swing this deal in United's favour is apparently Juve are interested in Matteo Darmian, which would be almost like a straight swap. So I think what they were saying is maybe 50 million plus Darmian could do it.
Because they are pretty good at sort of reinventing players and instilling a new confidence into them, aren't they? Getting the most out of them. I think of Pirlo, I think of Evra when he left Manchester United. He prolonged his career, didn't he, at the top by another 3 or 4 years.
And what's interesting is that Matteo Darmian, I actually really like Matteo Darmian. Obviously, like if it meant Sandro coming in, I'd be happy to let him go, but I think he's actually defensively one of our best players.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that when he arrived at United, he was not necessarily a defensive left back. Defensive fullback. He was very much someone who could add something to the attack. He played at right wing and left wing before in his career. Okay, so if he went back to Juve, I can imagine, them kind of reinventing what he was before when he played at Torino, which is a more attacking option, which would then, I guess, make up for the loss of Sandro a little bit. I guess Sandro obviously is kind of pretty much a world-class prospect. But so that could be interesting. Obviously, Darmian going back to the city where he played before. But in terms of Sandro, I think he's dropped off a little bit this season. He's fallen out of favour a little bit at Juve, but not really sure exactly why. But he's creating less chances this season. He's creating he's making 2 less tackles and interceptions per game this season as well. So we'll see. Maybe he's looking for a move out as well. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his contract situation's like either.
I think he goes on quite well. I think he signed an extension a few years back.
Did it? Okay, so
definitely in the 2020s, somewhere.
Because he's also only on 55k a week.
Yeah,
Euros.
I mean, Juve have a great wage structure, don't they? And they won't be sort of cajoled by players into leaving, will they? We saw it with Higuain. If a club want a player from Juve, they will have to pay out of their arse for him. And talking of paying out of said arsehole, one of the most interesting rumours I've heard is Antoine Griezmann to Barcelona. We've covered it on a couple of shows now, and it makes for sensational reading, doesn't it? But it actually looks like they are heavily interested, which for me, you're Barcelona, you're doing well at the moment, you want to keep the momentum up, maybe take the sting out of a rival's title charge, because Atleti have gone, their form's gone quietly unnoticed, hasn't it? Still unbeaten. I think they've crept up to second now in the league, overtaking Valencia. But for me, I just don't understand where he fits into that team. Ernesto Valverde has deployed a 4-4-2 this season, more so than Barcelona's traditional 4-3-3 with Suarez and Messi up front. I think maybe he had to do that out of necessity to start with because of Dembele's injury. Obviously, they spent 110 million euros, was it, on Dembele? And he's set to return soon as well. So if he comes back into the fold and they revert to a forward 3 to accommodate their their transfer record, then where does Antoine Griezmann come into the side? The only thing I could see them going with maybe is a 4-2-4 or potentially dropping Luis Suarez, who is the wrong side of 30 now, but he's only turning 31 in January. He's not always been reliant on his pace. He's got insane predatory instincts, hasn't he? He's still getting off, I think, over 2.5 shots from inside the box when he only has around 3.4 in total. So he's still doing the majority of his damage in the 18-yard box. And after a slow start, I believe he's got 7 in 12. But he's also creating too. And Barcelona, I mean, they've been good this season. They've been solid. They've been tactically versatile. I've watched a fair few games, and what I've been impressed with when it comes to Valverde is his ability to make decisive substitutions. He's also getting, I've said this before, like players on the periphery to contribute as well, including Deulofeu, Denis Suarez, Lucas Digne. So there'd be a frightening prospect if they added Antoine Griezmann. I think it's £88 million his release clause to that set of ingredients. But I don't get how they'd set up whatsoever. Are you two boys any more clued up than I am on this?
I think it's interesting. I think the fact that, I mean, if this does turn out to be true, this rumour, the fact that Griezmann is being linked to Barcelona more so than, say, a central midfielder or even an attacking midfielder is testament to how well Paulinho's done since he's come. I think in the summer most people were expecting him to not really be able to fill a gap there. But
it makes the Paulinho deal even odder, doesn't it? Why spend £40 million on a box-to-box midfielder if you knew you were going to go balls to the walls in the winter transfer window for someone like Antoine Griezmann.
I don't understand this if it is true. I mean, I heard there's a bit of tapping up going on as well.
Yeah,
but I don't understand it for Barcelona. This is one of the weakest sides of, like, player for player. It's one of the weakest Barcelona teams we've seen in a long time. They're still performing very well, but it's further back that they need to bolster. I mean, you look at their players, like Ousmane Dembélé is kind of come back, and he'll be fantastic. Suarez is still fantastic. Yes, he's on the wrong side of the table, but he's still fantastic. Messi's Messi. You don't have to say anything more. You look further back, like Busquets, he's getting on a bit. He's still a great player, but there is someone to help him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. There's more obvious holes in that team than adding another attacker to it. Griezmann, without Griezmann, Atleti, I fear for them. Obviously, Barcelona, that would be killing two birds with one stone, wouldn't it? But I think he's contributing to around 33% of Atletico Madrid's goals this season. He's not taking as many shots in the box as someone like Suarez, even though he is playing in that number 9, more so this season because Gamero hasn't been great playing next to him, has he? He's not started a lot of games. Torres is mainly a bit part player, more so than he was last year. I think he's made 1 start, 10 substitute appearances.
Costa is going to be coming in January.
But I think he'd dovetail with Diego Costa really nicely in the same way that he does with Giroud in the national setup. You have Griezmann at 10, Costa as a more traditional number 9, and then all of a sudden, like, you could see Atletico picking up some momentum. Like, they suffered in the Champions League, didn't they, when Griezmann wasn't getting as involved. I think his passes dropped because he was playing as more of a central striker. But there was a disconnect there between the midfield and the attack. But I'd be absolutely astounded if it happened, and fascinated as well. But guys, who is your most exciting January transfer prospect, should we say? Let us know in the comments below. Next question comes from Charlie Shikari, and he's asked, can Pep Guardiola lead Manchester City to a quadruple? I don't think a team has done it before in British history.
I'm trying to think of a team generally. Like
English history. Celtic won the quadruple in '67. We won the.
That was when you won the European Cup.
It was the 4th trophy was like the Queen's Cup, the Victoria Cup, or something very loose like that. But yes, we won 4 trophies that season, I believe. But James, as the Manchester City fan, why don't you kick us off with some sort of rationale to this very vague but interesting question?
It's a ridiculous thing to say we're going to win the quad. I mean, personally, as a City fan, we know how we perform during a season, or historically, we do mess things up a lot. We're known for it. We expect it more than anything. But I think me personally, I get quite annoyed at how kind of pundits and general media right now are talking about Man City. We are a great team, we're fantastic to watch, we are unbeaten, but everyone's getting, I think, way too deep with this. I can see us winning 1 or 2 trophies. Premier League's pretty much surefire thing. Other cup competitions we'll wait to see.
I mean, you barely scraped through against Leicester in the Carabao Cup, and I know you fielded a reserve side, although Leicester did as well. I think Zinchenko's playing left wing back, wasn't he? But if he carries on playing that team in the Carabao Cup, which he clearly doesn't care about, then that team is likely or more likely to be beaten, right?
I mean, right now I see our team and Mangala has to step in, and now so far Mangala hasn't made a horrendous error.
He's the potential chink in your armour, right?
Through Leicester, he was the most exciting player to watch because he had no clue what he was going to do. Was he going to mess up? He messed up, but he luckily recovered, and he did perform well as a whole. But there's a massive hole in our centre-back position right now, with Kompany being as injured as he is and John Stones being as injured as he is.
If you are probably one injury away at the back, to maybe Pep having to reevaluate the way you line up.
I mean, I think this month, January transfer window, is the key to, let's say, winning the quadruple. Yeah, I personally think it's a ridiculous thing. I'm just going to say it out. It's a ridiculous thing that we're going to win the quadruple. If we do, fair enough. I'll happily eat my words.
Dare to dream.
I think what's funny with these things, obviously, is all this kind of chat is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I think
but feasible. Of course, so we've got to treat the question with respect.
Of course. It is completely feasible, and it always is. I mean, if you look back at say like Mourinho's original Chelsea side, like the Ferguson United side of kind of 2008, 2009, they were talking about quadruples then as well. Yeah, it's normal for this kind of chat to come up. The reason why it never happens is because cup competitions are so reliant on luck. You forget how much luck has a play in football in general and in the cup competitions in particular. So like even teams that are really capable of going and doing that on paper very rarely do. Barcelona never even managed it under Pep. So yeah, there's a reason why so few teams do it, and why this Man City team, which admittedly, I mean, one thing you can already say about the City team is they probably are, in terms of on a season basis, probably are one of the best teams we've ever seen in the Premier League. But yeah, even then, there's no guarantee that they'll win more than even 2 trophies.
They deserve to, from a purist point. Some of the football they're playing is absolutely mesmeric, and not just from an attacking viewpoint either, just all over the pitch. We may move on to this in the next question actually, because we're going to talk about Spurs, but just the most well-rounded side I've seen in a long time. However, having won no trophies last season, I think a double would represent incredible progress, and that you still, teams, you might be blowing everyone away in England, but there's still the little matter of a Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG to contend with on the continent. Guys, it's a no from us, but what a hard question to answer in a succinct fashion. Last question of 2017 comes from Scott Young, and he's asked, lads, after last season's progress, why aren't Tottenham performing to the same standard this time round? Now, at current, they're 21 points behind Manchester City, although Manchester United in second are 10 points behind Manchester City. And I suppose it says a lot that we now expect Tottenham to be challenging for that title. Yeah. It says a lot about the way Pochettino has changed the dynamic of that club. Now, I've got a few stats down here. They're still taking the fourth most shots in the Premier League, lads, with 17 per game. That's only 1 behind Manchester City. They're enjoying the third most possession with around 60%, and they're also conceding the third lowest amount of shots in the league on 9. United are almost conceding 13 per game. So they're still not watertight at the back, but still tight at the back, still creating chances, still having possession. So what's wrong? Does it come down to certain individuals maybe not hitting the same heights, McCubbin?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. We've got two players who particularly spring to mind in an attacking sense who have dropped off since last season. Dele Alli, who people have been talking about.
18 goals, of course, last season.
Yeah. Not quite sure how many he's got this season, 5 or 6 so far, maybe less actually if we're halfway through the season. But Dele Alli, I don't know, he was just seemed a lot more prominent member of the squad last year in terms of his output. Was playing. Feel like he was playing a more advanced role last year off Harry Kane. It just seemed this season I just haven't seen him really get into positions consistently where he's going to be scoring or
he's been really ineffective in big games as well, which is last year he really sort of showed up for the occasion.
I'd say besides the Real Madrid, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
Real Madrid he performed very
well.
At
home, he was brilliant.
We'll get onto the Real Madrid game because I think that's definitely a big positive for Spurs as well. But yeah, as well as Ali, Eriksen has had quite a last season as well. Got down here 4 assists in 18 appearances, and last season we got 18 assists, or was it 16 assists, or just behind Kevin De Bruyne in the list. But I think in particular Eriksen, I think he got 2 assists on the first day against Newcastle, seem to remember, and then I think it took up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago for him to then got another assist. Since then, so about 3 months he went without laying off an assist.
Ugly scenes,
which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I think in general though, I think Spurs are playing okay. Like I don't feel like they're functioning any worse as a team in general than they were last year. They just maybe haven't improved. I think in particular where there are massive positives is in Europe. Took points off Real Madrid away and absolutely battered them at home, which I think if I was a Spurs fan I'd be absolutely chuffed with. And represents a massive progress from last season when they were absolutely rubbish in the Champions League, and the season before where they basically had to sack off Europa League for the title race with Leicester. So Yeah, I wouldn't be worrying too much. I think there's just, I think maybe they could do some work in January. Obviously, there's defensive issues in the defence in terms of injuries. They could maybe bolster the squad in that sense, but generally speaking, I don't think they're doing so bad.
Relatively speaking, a lot of people look poor in comparison to Manchester City, don't they? Had they not been having such a formidable season, maybe we wouldn't be highlighting Spurs' sort of lack of form, let's say, especially given the rejuvenation of Liverpool as well and the consistency of Manchester United. It's certainly changed the dynamic of the league this year, and those draws, those little blips after Champions League games. I believe they drew 2 Premier League games after back-to-back wins over Dortmund. One of those was West Brom. Remember that being a relatively poor game. But James, you wanted to talk about defensive woes.
Yeah, I think squad depth is a real problem for Tottenham just in general. I think it's probably the main reason that separates them from, let's say, the top. I know it's harsh to not call them a top tier side because they're doing extremely well, especially over the last 3 years, but squad depth is separating them from the top tier.
If you compare it to City and United in particular, who have kind of untold amount of depth.
Alderweireld is a massive miss for them.
Yeah.
You've seen their drop off since. I don't think Eric Dyer personally can perform the role that he does. I mean, Eric Dyer can do a job, but not to the level of Alderweireld. I think over the last 3 seasons, Alderweireld, for me personally, has been the most consistent and best centre-back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You can rely on him for everything. He does everything well. Very comfortable on the ball, very confident, and brings a lot to the team in stability and confidence, which I think they're severely lacking at the moment.
He steps into midfield much better than Eric Dyer.
Ironically,
steps back into defence, doesn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, you would have thought that they would have dropped off more than they were going to with kind of Kyle Walker coming to City. I think Sergio Aurier has come in and done a decent job. The rotation of the full-backs is still working. I think overall, I think you kind of said the point, I'll reiterate it, is the fact that if you're a Spurs fan, I wouldn't be too worried about this. You're still playing decent football, you're still doing everything right. It's just 90% there. You're just off doing everything you want to be doing. And I think the performances of other Premier League teams show that, are performing so well that they're kind of overshadowing. And I think, as you said, Champions League is where they can shine.
I feel like maybe we've been quite nice so far. So I'll maybe stick the boot in a little bit then. I don't think they conducted good enough business in the summer either. This is kind of navigating away from what we just discussed, but bringing in Fernando Llorente.
Oh, yeah, that was an awful move.
I know Chelsea were also in for him as well, weren't they, as a second striker. But when they have been overly reliant on Kane, on Ali, on Eriksen, there hasn't really been another set of players to go to. And when they do bring Fernando Llorente on and pump the ball forward, it really doesn't work, and it looks so disjointed, and it's just not the Spurs we've come to know over the last 2 or 3 years. It's a pretty hapless plan B. Although they are getting players back, aren't they, soon, like Eric Lamela, who's been off for 13 months. He was really hitting form beforehand, really like him. I think he showed his class in the game against Leicester, in which Leicester were sort of, as they do, Leicester were very compact, full-backs sit very close to the centre-backs. But he came on, managed to unpick that, has that bit of guile that they maybe lack if people are doubling up on Eriksen, for example, who you mentioned as the creative hub of that Spurs side, which is not in question. So maybe he'll help them. I do think they perhaps need another defender. Ben Davies and Kieran Trippier, downgrades on Danny Rose, who might be leaving, who's not been good since he came back, since he returned from that 10-month layoff. I think they've only won 40% of the games in which he's played, which is a pretty damning statistic. Sergio Aurier, I think he will get it right. I think he was very good business, but yeah, Ben Davies and Kieran Trippier, I'm not sure if they're long-term solutions to losing players of Walker's magnitude, who's actually, I didn't think he was much of a pet player, but he's been really impressive this season,
really
hasn't he? But yeah, aside from that, I think you two covered it. So maybe a bit of business in January and maybe an upturn in fortune. That's our expert's opinion. So guys, that was the last Continental Club of 2017. Thank you for sticking with us all year. We hope you enjoyed this strand. If there's any ways we can improve it, let us know in the comments below. Guys, what's happening on FD, EFD, Cubbin?
Well, obviously keep an eye out for Mean Tweets. That's coming out on Christmas Day. Probably the best video of the year. And VFN out today as well. Head over onto that. Zach Jalab makes an appearance. Don't be put off by that. It was actually a very good episode. Also written by myself, so don't say anything, Chris.
Yeah. Well, we had to take Joe off it. It was becoming like the Daily Star, wasn't it? James, EFD.
EFD. It's two very special Stat Wars. Christmas edition. One of my personal favourites. It involves alcohol, so check that out. And a very special New Year's edition. VFN versus Stat Wars. Who will win? There's only one
First Stat Wars edit I've done in a while, actually, that one. You
Yeah.
and George in the last couple, which have been very well received, so I fully expect this one to bomb. Bye.